Hey everybody, this is MinionSoldier, and this is the Piracy Show.
You can say that with a straight face, could you? But anyway, I'm Execute, obviously. This is our grid. We've got Cyrus Price, and of course, we're joined by our guest today that's in audio form only, Mr. MinionSoldier. We got hit up by a few of our people in our Discord to reach out to Minions, so we've done so, and I had a good chat with him yesterday. These guys have been chatting to him while we've been set up for the show, and we just thought, like, what's a show we can do? And we thought, well, we'll just talk to Minion about a whole bunch of different pirate shit. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit about prisons and some other topics that just comes up along the way. So we'll just kick it off. So I think we'll start on the prisons then, because that's something we talked a little bit about. But do you want to talk a bit about the prisons gameplay and just kick us off, and we'll follow you?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was really upbeat about it. I thought it was a really good idea because one of the biggest problems that I have currently with piracy in the Star Citizen universe is that there's no kickback for doing it, really, right?
No,
It's just like,
100%.
oh, you get crime stat, and then like, ooh, I have crime stat. Oh no. Oh, am I being hunted by players? Whatever will I do? And then all of a sudden they're like, no, 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 no. You're going to pay the price for this. And so it makes piracy more challenging, which is a good thing. And at the same time, it's it's going to be a kickback to like those players who are just out ramming ships or doing whatever, or who are just out there to gank other players. It's going to be like, no, 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 no. This isn't just go out and shoot everybody like Battlefield. This is, you have to think about the consequences now. And I want piracy to be smarter and consequence based rather than just blow up everything that you can.
It's the whole carrot and stick situation.
Yeah,
You've kind of got
exactly.
like there's no carrot, there's no enticement. You've just got a stick, and you're beating us with it. Like instead
Yeah,
of giving us a carrot, you're
Yeah.
just beating us with it. But yeah. There's no real reward for being a pirate at the moment, and so you've basically taken away any
true.
form of the entertainment was kind of like pissing other people off or tormenting other people, and now that you've got this massive consequence there, like it's just totally taken that away. And it seems to be a little bit like that at the moment, I think, across the board, because it's all in
Yeah.
this developer state that they're taking more away than they're giving. Definitely from my perspective as well. Cyrus,
Oh,
Agrid, your 2 cents.
no, go on, Cyrus.
Yeah, I mean, the implementation of this thing does seem to be pointed at preventing griefers from griefing people, but the unforeseen consequence, or maybe it wasn't unforeseen, is that you have the risk associated with piracy, but there is no reward, as Minion said. So right now you have people who are a little bit alienated, who
So-
want to pursue that sort of gameplay.
All I heard there was CIG is out to get us. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. No, maybe it was intentional. Yeah. Sorry, Algrid, you were going to say?
I think, yeah, it was intentional. CIG are out to nerf pirates and make you all walk the plank or whatever it is. But I actually think, as you guys have both said, it really was, I think, brought in the prison systems at least to try and do some force back against griefers and those causing problems in the verse, not necessarily those who want to be pirates.
Yeah.
But for those who want to be pirates, there's still nothing there, because you can't really, unless you're doing, something like sending Widow, and Widow's been nerfed in terms of a ground of how much you can sell.
Yeah, the Widow is so worthless now. You would literally make more money selling hydrogen than you would selling illegal drugs.
Yeah, and it's not that they're not worth money. It's just that you can sell so little of it in a single hit.
Yeah,
And
it's like
so
you can sell a handful every day.
Yeah. And so why, the days of Jumptown at its heyday seem to have been gone.
I think that's like that shows another part of it too. Like a lot of that emergent gameplay they talked about, I think a lot of that's just been nerfed into the ground too. And Jumptown's a really good example of that.
But I think what pirates need, or what you need for pirates to be good, is that any ship, whether it's an NPC or a player ship, when you blow it up, there's got to be some form of salvage or something that you can get out of it.
At least being able to pick up the cargo, so they're like a
Well, a tractor beam, please.
Thing. A tractor beam would be a huge benefit to that kind of gameplay, because if you blow up a caterpillar, you know how long it takes you to VA, $1 at a time. Forget about that.
Hopefully-
Dude, I tried that back in, what was it, 3.3 or 3.4, when they had those NPC caterpillars that they could blow up. I actually did that once, and it was not worth it.
Hopefully they bring that in then soon because they got the Rock doing that.
Even if
stuff,
you
know.
wanted to do it, like the cops would be on you before you got
Oh,
you know,
exactly.
a dozen boxes in there.
Like,
Yeah.
I want there to be pirate gameplay, but I want it to be like intelligent and, not, I just don't want it to be door crashing with shotguns and let's get all the rewards, I want it to be something smart and something that requires skill. But we're just like, we've got the penalties, but even things like just the smuggling missions have just been crushed into the ground. There's really no outlet right now, and idle hands, are the devil's playthings, right?
Yeah, and I think that what you've just said there really points out to the fact that the prison system and the penalty for doing criminal activity is really aimed at those who are doing the griefing. Now here's one for you, Osiris. I'm glad you're sitting down. I actually want piracy gameplay to be good. Okay, that's the big thing from me. You know how much I hate piracy. I want piracy gameplay to be good, just like every other profession, and you need to have those rewards as well as the penalties.
Algo
and-
sounds like a politician right now, full of lies, but anyway.
Hey, I'll make piracy great again.
Okay. a Pagda hat, yeah. Piracy great again.
Should leave that to the professionals, Algard.
Yeah. Oh god, no, the Trump memes as a pirate and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like every profession. You need to have a reward as well as the penalties. And at the moment, I
There
think
is
because of the
none.
griefing, they brought the penalties in, but there's still no reward.
All right, well,
And that
let's move a little. Finish what you're gonna say, and then I'll,
so I think that's causing a problem for the piracy gameplay. Much like the Reclaimer's got the problems with, what is it doing verse apart from crash onto planets?
All right, then. Let's move that a bit forward then. 12 months from now, or whenever they bring Pyro online, or what do you think Pyro is going to add? So let's say it's even gone further along and Ruin Station's online. What do you think that's going to add? Because the feeling I get, and you guys correct me if you think wrong, I think it's going to be like an us versus them system, where they're all in Pyro, or the pirates are in Pyro, and Stanton is full of all the good guys, and it's just this fighting through a jump point, like you're fighting through a choke net, like at the breach.
I think it's going to be a little bit different than that. And yeah, there's obviously going to be some action at the choke point, but I think what they're going to do with Pyro is what's the one gameplay loop they have in the game, right? It's mining. So they're going to put a lot of high value ore in Pyro, and they're going to say, come and get it. If you're a good guy miner from Stanton.
That's true.
The pirates are just going to be waiting on the other side looking to take a cut.
Okay, well, verse to that then, do you think they'll also have things to try and bring the pirates into Stanton?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because if I don't do that, then that's a great risk reward for the good guys. But that sounds like a gift to the pirate players. If the good guys have to go over there and mine all the heavy stuff in Pyro where all the pirates are, what's the bonus for what's the risk reward for a pirate? You're in your home system, it's safe space for you, but it's
I think what Pyro is going to be, Pyro is going to be the inverse of Stanton, whereas Stanton is lawful and everything is kind of, where everything is in the system. But if you go around in Stanton, you don't know where Jump Town is, or, all these other little drug labs. You have to kind of find them through a mission. And I think that Pyro's going to be the inverse of Stanton. It's going to be like, as a pirate, once you've got the rep, you're going to know where everything is, but the players coming into Stanton who don't have that rep are not going to see all those things. They're just going to come looking for the minerals. And so, whereas in Stanton, it's the lawful players hunting the pirates, in Pyro, it's going to be the pirate players hunting the lawful players. It's going to be like a yin-yang thing.
So pirates, the Pyro is going to be a little bit like the Wild West. Is that kind of the analogy you're making there?
Yeah, it's going to be like there's going to be a Tortuga, and there's going to be a lot of.
And can we talk about too that I know people like Algrid like to lump all the pirates in, all the outlaws into one big broad category, but I think that there's kind of a spectrum there, right? There's people who
So
don't
there's-
necessarily want to
So down here
don't
we've got
necessarily want
Osiris and
PvP, but there
Minion.
may be
Down here we've got Osiris and
Spectrum might be
Minion.
a little too accurate.
Yeah, we've got Osiris and Minion down here, and then up here you've
Spectrum it
got
was.
me. You got me up here, yeah.
right, but you have smugglers, you have fencers.
Yep.
Then you have the people who are out there shaking you down at gunpoint for your stuff, and then you have people whose philosophy on piracy is, I would rather not kill you, but I will if I have to. And then there's people who just want to kill you.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
just-
going to be elements of all that. pyro.
I personally think the people who just want to kill you aren't pirates.
Yeah.
You know, they're just, I don't know what you
Briefers.
call them, but they're. I'm not even sure you call. Well, it depends.
Well-
Certainly at the moment they're not pirates. They're just.
I think
briefers.
when it's all designed properly, though, Algrid, there'll be incentive to keep you alive. They'll want to keep you
Yeah.
alive so they can take
Yeah.
your stuff or ransom you or stuff
Yeah.
like that.
We've talked like that. We've talked about it in the past. You know, what's
Mhm.
the point in? You know, you don't want to kill your prey. You want to make them so they'll still come back. If you kill them, you get all their loot, but
Yeah,
you
it's much
kill
more
the golden
profitable to
goose.
farm them, keep them coming back for more.
Or I
Yeah.
mean, like you can even run a racket where it's like, hey, you want to mine that valuable ore? You give me a cut, and I've got 3 or 4 guys that'll make sure you get in and out of here with no issues.
And we've seen that in other games too, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they hold all the keys and stuff, and yeah, it's a bit of an extortion racket. Yeah, that's fine. I will say, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's not extortion. That is just offering a service of
Yeah, protection
Women.
services. That's what it
Protection.
is.
Yeah. Protection racket. Yeah.
So based upon all that, I think that maybe one of the key differences with Pyro, and you guys correct me if you disagree, but maybe it's going to be like Execute said, more like the Wild West, in that pirates don't necessarily ally with pirates. They may just be as apt to shoot each other in the back, depending on faction.
Yeah.
Whereas in Stanton, all the quote unquote good guys would basically be good guys to each other.
But that's the thing.
Well-
Like you've got the law holding you in place in Stanton.
Yeah.
It'll come into these, like it always drops off into groups. That's the thing. But it'll be like they're making their own laws.
Yeah.
But
And so
they've
that's
even
kind of
said
interesting.
they've even said in terms of Stanton,
Yes, I
you've got the UE laws, but then you've got the laws of Crusader and the laws of Arcquart and the laws of Microtech and Hurston. And if you break the laws in Hurston, you might but haven't broken UEC laws. You won't be allowed to, you'll be limited in what you can do in Hurston, but Arcquart and Microtech will still be happy to see you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so you've still got that same aspect that you're saying that Pyro will have. All you've got is a difference in terms of, I suppose, the side, whether it's the dark side or the light side, or or if you're someone else in
what it will
between.
look like. I suppose it'll look like things will coalesce into. This is kind of a crude term, but some warlord will establish dominance in the area, and then basically whatever he says is the law. It's not the uniformity of UEE law, and every outlaw system could have its own version of what passes for the law.
You've been watching too much of those Black Lives Matter protests and that Chaz and all that stuff.
But I think
the guy set
what
himself
you'll
up.
see in. Sorry, go on, Minion.
Well, I think that like what he's saying, like he's onto something. I mean, like this could end up being very similar to like just some players come in and they start to build up an industry where, let's say, the protection racket is something that takes off. Miners are just like, oh my god, I can bring my mole in totally solo. I know the guy, he's going to take me to the spot, so I got to give him 10, 15, 25%, no big deal. If I'm out in a rock and I'm making $250,000, what can I make in a mole in the best system to mine in the game? They're just going to ante up. And so if pirates find that that's a really valuable thing, anybody who messes with that might not only find themselves dealing with the lawful players coming in to get revenge, but the other pirates who are like, you're screwing up our money, dude, so you got to die.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And here's the other part, like it'll be how greedy they get with their cuts, because like if one guy's taken 5% and another's taken 10 and another's taken 15. See what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
like
and it's like, you stole my customer, dude, and then we get that emergent gameplay and the universe comes to life.
I got
But
something
you've
else.
Yeah.
I got,
You've
go,
al-
go ahead.
You've also got a situation where just like in Stanton, where you've got the Microtech law and Crusader law, you'll have the same type of thing in Pyro, where you've got the Ninetales patch, and you've got the what's that about?
You hit on what I was going to talk about, Agrid, is AI in general.
Yep.
Like, we've got to bring all that 90% of the economy is going to be based
and
on
so
AI.
and so you'll have the other patches, and so you might be MinionSoldier. You might ally yourself and have good faction with the Ninetales. But then if you go into a faction that's not controlled by Ninetales, you may have that same problem. And if they're diametrically opposed to each other, because they, which one are you going to go with? So
who's going to be dominant in the area?
So that kind of plays into that dominant faction type idea. And so whether it's a matter of the players actually setting up the dominance of the area, or whether it's players assisting the faction get dominance in the area, that'll be a different thing. And there's a whole scope of stuff there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I mean,
is. Yeah,
I mean, it very quickly becomes almost like an EVE Online-esque thing where the players just take over, and CIG's like, you know what? We don't have to write any more lore for this system because the players are doing it for us.
But we also know they don't want to have players just take over the system. Sorry, Execute.
No, you're right. It could go either way. All right. Where to go next? Anyone got anything they want to add before we go anywhere else? Because
I guess I would just add. I would close out that thought by saying that while there could be some element of backstabbing between pirate factions, I think that if the Navy showed up to try to clean up the system, you'd see probably an unprecedented level of cooperation all of a sudden.
Yeah.
100%. That'd be interesting to see, actually. A UEE invasion of Pyro at some point, and they're just they come back with a vengeance.
Isn't it kind of the idea of the the pirate faction coming into UEE and everyone having to band together to boot them out again? And
that's what I'm saying.
And then I see the reverse of that. The UEE have been going in and trying to and you could have a seesawing.
Right. Well, you could almost have it like after. Well, since you guys came in, we're trying to find their base, and they come in to try and find their base, and the other pirates rock up to help them specifically. So do you want to help them stop them from wiping out those pirates? And that could be all the pirates getting together.
I almost think that what's one of the things that's going to emerge rather than pirates kind of invading Stanton is there's going to be a level of pirates smuggling the things that they've gotten out of Pyro into Stanton and trying to get it on a legitimate market and sell it. And there's going to be competition at that level where they're like, oh man, I know look at his Star Runner going. That thing's probably loaded with unobtainium. We got to steal that. And I mean, there's so much that can come out of this.
Just remember our Garrett's Fence services.
Yeah, I've got a really quick question for you then. So piracy, most people see piracy as attacking someone else and taking their shit. What are some of the other after the effect professions? And so my first thought goes to probably one of the biggest professions will be smuggling. And that falls into drug running, and as you guys just suggested, smuggling other stuff back into systems. Are there any others other than smuggling that you can quickly
hacking?
Think of?
Oh yeah, hacking, fencing. I mean, there's a whole family of victimless crimes that UE would probably prosecute along the lines of piracy. That would probably be allied with pirates who generate the goods in the first place from doing piracy, and then they need a way to sell them. Like Minion was saying, then you take them back to Stanton and resell them in the open market.
All right, so I got one for you that none of you brought up, but I was just curious to see if anyone's going to hit on. What do you think about human trafficking? Because we know slavery is a thing, but do you think like actually getting a pirate into an area in Stanton? So say you wanted to get to Grimhex, do you think there'll be someone that has like a pirate Genesis Starliner to get people?
Are you talking about sneaking someone in?
Yeah.
Because when you say human trafficking, I'm thinking like slavery.
Well,
which is this whole
all types of it. So slavery, getting like someone in that's high level criminal, getting people out too. Like later on, there's going to be things where like someone might be about to be arrested, and you want to get them out of the system. So human trafficking in its whole was another one that I just you guys never hit on. So I was just curious.
Well, I'd say that the getting people in and out as being smuggling.
Yeah.
Slavery, I'd see more as a human trafficking, and it depends whether it's Banu merchantmen or Banu in the area who you can sell to. I don't know.
I think that to a certain degree, when you're trying to smuggle out another criminal, what's going to end up happening is I think that that's going to be a tangent of hacking, and you're going to be able to create fake IDs that are good for a certain amount of time. So let's say your guy's got the 5-star crime stat rating, you got to get him out and get him back to Pyro. But you know there's going to be cops scanning your ship, but he goes to a hacker and he gets his ID reset. So he's like, "Oh no, I'm Skippy Hurston. I'm not that other guy." And they're like, "Okay, these aren't the droids we're looking for. Move along."
Here's another one for you, execute. A ship that we're all big fans of, the Endeavor. When that comes into the game, you can park. You probably can't park that in orbit of Hurston and just manufacture recreational pharmaceuticals with impunity. I think you need to do that sort of work in a place like Pyro, and then that will feed back into smuggling it into Stanton, where the actual market is for those products.
Do you remember how before the show we were talking about ideas, and you've just prompted me? That was the other idea, the Endeavor episode, and then you'll click now when I say it. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So no, you are correct though, and I agree. I do want to.
We actually deeply discussed the Endeavor as a viable pirate ship. Well, not directly pirate, but we were looking at the Endeavor and we were saying, you got the drug lab, you got the Cutlass Reds. What if we can somehow skirt the law and make it look like we're a civilian medical service out to help, in disaster relief or whatever? But really, all our little Cutlass Reds are just going in and out and just hauling drugs to, all these other locations. Wonder if we could disguise it that way.
Yeah, and that was actually the episode. Your thoughts on the Endeavor and the Endeavor and Piracy, because I actually think it's one of those ships that is going to be really an everyman ship. I think everyone's going to use the Endeavor more than they realize. But we might do another one with you specifically on that one.
Yeah.
Unless you want to talk about more about it now, or do you want to?
Or do you want to be return visitor to
yeah, because I think that's a big one personally.
Yeah, I think that we can work out some ideas for that. But yeah, okay. I think the Endeavor as a disguised ship could have a lot of potential.
Yeah. All right. So the thing I was going to ask real quickly that kind of came where you guys were talking about the Banu is how much do you reckon pirates are going to interact with other races? Banu, Tavaran, Zion.
Probably the Banu the most, I think.
Yeah.
I would say all of them. In the lore stories we've had so far, we've had the prison story where basically there's a whole wing basically controlled by the Tavaran. And so clearly the Tavaran have a reputation for being criminals. So I would expect would be seeing a lot more Tavaran in the less legal areas because they've just disowned their place.
Yeah.
The Banu because they're slavers. We also know that lots of criminal type people or people who were hunted by the Mezzers were hiding in Xi'an space. So who was smuggling them to those horrible places? But people who were, wanted by the law or.
I think the Xi'an angle, you could probably see that as more of like a humanitarian thing, like, oh, we'll hide you. But I think with the Banu, from a pirate point of view, I think a lot of us have kind of looked at that and said, these are the guys who aren't going to ask questions as to where it came from.
If I like it, yeah.
Financial incentive for the Banu, they'll do anything. So yeah.
You just hit the nail on the head of what I was thinking. The financial incentive, like if all these different races are going to have different laws in place, right? And if there is a market for some good or service that is illegal in Banu space or Xi'an space or wherever it is, then somebody is going to find a way to make it profitable to connect those goods to the people who want them.
Yeah.
My last question then, along the lines of the piracy with other races, then what about the Vandal? Are the Vandal going to be friendly towards pirates? Because I think they're just going to be harsh to humans in general.
Well, from the conversations that I've had with people, the people within the org, we've recognized the fact that there is certainly a market in in the UEE for Vandal Technology. And there's a part of us that we're sitting there and saying, you know, depending on how that market goes, there's a lot of people going out there and they're getting the glaive, they're getting the blade, they want those Vandal ships. What if people start needing replacement parts from the Vandal? I mean, the Vandal could, in a way, it could become a victimless crime. It would be more down to like PvE and stuff like that, which a lot of people may not be down with. But if the money's there, that's a possibility that we could go after them.
But
So
that's an everyone job, isn't it? It's
isn't
not
that
just
like
a pirate
so
thing.
you're almost looking at an elite pirate squad that gathers Vandal ship parts. So it's got the whole salvaging mechanic and they go out and kill them and gather mechanic.
I would think that you'd almost think it's an everyman job, but I bet you that once they kind of get everything worked out, most of the systems that connect to Vandal space are going to be fairly low security. Like those are going to be the front lines where a lot of bad stuff is kind of happening, and so getting in behind there and stealing stuff from the Vandal pirates might be able to do that.
But you've also got, well, I think most groups could probably do that, but
Yeah.
But I think you've also got the situation where we do know the Banu trade with the Vandal, and so if pirates are trading
with the
slaves to the Banu, then that would equally open up more avenues for a pirate to acquire those parts a lot quicker. And
I think like it just from my perspective, there's also the fact that right now, as far as we know, the Vandal are kind of like humans, kill them. So if they're coming after us, you know.
Yeah, Vandal are just, everybody hates them. They hate everyone.
Yeah, so it depends on how they interact with us. I think that's going to be the first determining factor.
So you guys, well, I figured who it was. One of you a second ago mentioned like everyman jobs, and this is another dimension that I haven't heard talked about too much, but I've thought about a little bit. Is they don't have a Cryastro and Pyro. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you're going to be a pirate, and you're not necessarily going to be going to have access to the same sorts of quality of life services that somebody in UEE space would have access to. So I could also see there being orgs who pop up who just specialize in providing medical or repair, refuel, rearm gameplay to people in Pyro who don't necessarily partake in anything illegal other than maybe aiding and abetting criminals.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I'm quite happy to play fence, and I'm quite happy to play rearm, refuel, repair.
Once the Vulcan turns up, I think, you know, I know that there's quite a few pirates who have ships like that, like the Vulcan, you know, ships that can repair. I know there's still, I think, one of God, what is the ship, the large ship repair?
Crucible.
The
Crucible.
Crucible. I know there's one of those floating around in the orcs still.
Only one? Man, you guys need to do a fix my fleet.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd probably still be a few more if it wasn't for the fact that the Crucible has become kind of like that ship. You know, I can't even remember the name of it. But I know that there's some of those ships floating around, so there's going to be a need for those types of services, obviously.
You hit on an interesting point though when you were talking about like refueling and stuff too, because unlike Stanton, where they're kind of like got Cryastro on that and they've got fuel being delivered from other systems and that, do you think where's the fuel going to be brought in from? If it's not made by the pirates themselves and their own mining stuff, they are going to have their own miners and going to have to protect them. So that kind of thins out that extortion racket in a way, because they've got to protect their own shit as well. So I don't think they're going to be able to protect everywhere in that system. I think they're going to have to pick and choose and fight their battles.
Yeah.
And if you're bringing a Starfarer in and transporting fuel from Stanton, say, to Ruin Station, they have choices to make there. Do they stop you so they piss other pirates off because it doesn't get to them? Do they allow you through? Does every pirate that ran into you try and extort you for, for a cut? And you go, no, I've got protection from such and such. I'll bring it up with them, or you're dead, or they'll come after you. But then, as the good player, are you actually lying? Like, there's so many little things that just creep in there from just that one little simple event.
Well, I can sort of say that knowing a few other pirates who have also made similar preparations, there has been, things have been done to make sure that we have access to high security space and materials if we need them,
Mhm.
though it wouldn't be under our widely known names.
Yeah. Well, the second account's for
Yeah.
a reason.
Alt account.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll start to wrap it up there. Unless you got something to add, sorry, you were about to say something.
No.
No, you were good. So this has been 30 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up now, and we might do another one with Minion on the Endeavor at a later date. I do want to know from you guys in the comments. I want to know if Osiris's new pirate name should be Jack Frost. And I'd also like to know what you thought about MinionSoldier, and if we should have him on a bit more. Is there anything you guys would like to hear from people in the comments?
Whether we should do a Minion Soldier episode where we're talking about the Crucible as well. As our pirate
Should we do a
ship.
fix my fleet with his org? Because that sounds like they need some help.
No.
Maybe we'll
No,
see.
trust me, we run our own kind of fix my fleet arguments all the time. It's funny that when I see you guys doing that, and I'm like, this is us arguing with each other endlessly.
Okay, yeah, I would recommend you get more Crucibles though. Just a tip. All right.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he's been MinionSoldier, he's been Osiris Frost, he's been Arrogant, I've been Execute. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like it on Patreon, all that stuff, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Take care. Be well.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye.